Okay, here's the radio all back together and currently hooked up to a signal generator. It's currently in lower sideband. It's being fed a 1 microvolt signal at the moment. So let's go over here and turn the volume up some. You can hear it. And we'll just use the rotary. So right there is a half microvolt, 0.4 microvolts, 0.3 microvolts, 0.2 microvolts, 0.1 microvolt, and there's 0.05 microvolts. And you can still hear it barely in the background, but it's there. And that is, let's get it switched over here for people have their brains calibrated in dB decibels. I'll switch to dBm and dBu. So 0.05, turn the volume down here a little bit. 0.05 microvolts is, that's actually minus, so that's actually minus 133 dBm or minus 26 dBu. So put the amplitude back to 1 microvolt, so that's 100 minus 107 dBm right there. And now we'll get switched over to AM here. And we'll leave, let's see, the amplitude we'll put back so you can see here. AM. So back over here again. That's at 1 microvolt. There's half microvolt. 0.4. 0.3. 0.2. And it's pretty much gone at 0.1. Let's try 0.15. And it starts to come back at about 0.15. I'd say about 0.15 to 0.2 sensitivity on AM and 0.05 microvolts on sideband. So that's what these were known for, mainly good sideband rigs have good reception. Got a fairly good crystal lattice filter in them. The only thing really bad with this anymore is it's the same thing. It looks like somebody spilled paint on the power cord. Well, they didn't just get paint on the power cord from the looks of it. There's a little bit of red. It looks like they tried to clean it off. There's a couple specks of white paint down in the speaker grill, but there's a little bit of white haze on this because this has the kind of textured plastic finish. You can probably see that here in the front. Looks like somebody probably spilled paint across there, and they wiped it off, and they got most of it, but what was left down in that, in that textured surface is pretty much there. I don't want to use anything harsh on this because, of course, it's plastic, and if you get into harsh chemicals, you'll just end up melting the plastic, and then the radios, the cover would be ruined. But I tried using 99.9% IPA or isopropyl alcohol, glass cleaner, all the normal cleaners, a lot of other cleaners I have, non-petroleum solvent based, and it really didn't do anything for that. Wouldn't take it off, like I say, and it's plastic, so if you go using anything too harsh, you'll just end up literally melting the plastic, and then you'll be in worse case than you were before. But other than that, I might actually even try to get a little bit of, take some masking tape and I'll mask off the back, white portion of it and do my shoe polish trick on this. That might, a little bit of black shoe polish might actually blend that that area right about there. You can see that there's a hazy area starts there. I might try and see if I can get yeah, you can see it there too. Starts right there and goes over. There's that white haze. Yeah, I thought maybe somebody tried to wax it. I mean, I wax radios, but it might try to use some kind of wax, and that'll definitely, on plastic textured like this, it leaves a residue, but nah, because the isopropyl alcohol take off, pure alcohol will take off, you know, wax residue, but it didn't even touch it. So like I said, I get the feeling, you know, seeing the white back here on the power cord, I get the feeling that was paint. So like I said, I'll try and get that maybe darkened up a little bit more with some black shoe polish, because like I said, that's pretty good sometimes at blending in stuff like this. So, but otherwise, good radio, all back together. All the faults from the previous videos have been repaired on it now. So back up and running, good looking, working radio. Well, I guess I could do, well, I'm thinking about it. Did the reception, get the microphone hooked up here. Okay, so I have now these radios, this one's running through an adapter cord, okay? I'm running it on a Telex Turner doubleheader, a CB555. And the reason I'm using that is that has a fairly high output, and I just like the way they sound on air. But main reason I'm using that is that has a fairly high output. The factory microphone for this, there's only 3 pins of this cord that actually go into the actual microphone cord, because this microphone's wired for 4-pin Cobra. The 4th pin in here is actually a voltage source. The microphone amplifier that in the majority of radios would be in the radio is not in the radio in this. The microphone amplifier IC is actually in the microphone itself. So, if you have one of these radios and you want to, you know, use a non-factory mic, you're going to need to just try and be sure, you know, the mic has a suitable. You won't be able to use a non-amplified mic. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Non-amplified mic on one of these radios, it just isn't going to do anything. It just doesn't have the output to do that. So if you're going to use a mic, you know, most power mics will work. Like I say, the higher the output, the better, because, like I say, you're using it on a radio that's basically missing the microphone amp IC that would be in most radios. There's nothing in this one. Like I say, they stuck that inside the microphone head. So, like I say, I've got it hooked up to. Let's get it switched over here. A little bit easier viewing. This meter's a little bit easier for, especially reading peak readings on the analog meter. So we are in AM. Got the mic gain turned up the whole way here on channel 19. And we'll have it set over here, internal. So, okay. So, see, we're at 4-watt dead key. Audio check, 1, 2, audio check, audio 1, 2, audio 1, 2, audio check. So I'd say 13, good 14 watts of peak power on AM, and on sideband, audio check, 1, 2, audio check, 1, 2, 3, 4, radio, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, a little over 15, say probably about 16 watts on sideband, and it's a good sounding radio. You know, these weren't modulation monsters. Like I say, they were known for good sideband performance. So, you know, I'm not a huge fan of them. Don't know why, if it's the looks or what. I've got a lot of their mobile radios. I guess it was this vintage, you know, kind of, I don't know what do you want to call it, the early Mac, you know, plastic, everything, I guess back in the day, had this kind of plastic that, as some of the chemicals leach out of it, they turn yellow. You know, they used to be white, and then over the decades, they yellow. But like I say, I've just never been a big fan of the looks. I think I'd like this radio a lot better looks-wise if it had just been this color, the entire cabinet, instead of, like the mobiles were. That's the way now granted the mobiles had metal covers, but they were all one color. I'm not much into these two-tone plastic radios, you know. Now something you can do on these, you got to be careful because you can end up making things worse. But you can to try and whiten this plastic. It can be done. Like I say, you just got to be careful monitoring your progress when you're doing it. You'll see some people call it the retro bright process. But what you're basically going to do is you're going to use hydrogen peroxide and ultraviolet light. Now what you want to do for some people buy hydrogen peroxide as strong as they can get it. They mix it with cornstarch to make a paste to cover the plastic part, not this, not the dark, the white, because you definitely don't want to put it on this because it will bleach this. But they'll paint it on, basically, and then you wrap it in plastic, clear, like cling film, something really thin and transparent. And then you set it out. Your UV source is the sun. Now, personally, I've had much better luck, especially with consistency, with no blotching. I actually use a product you can get. I can't even remember. I bought a gallon of it, God, years ago. It's some hair care place. It sells weave stuff and all kinds of hair care product for women. I wouldn't know much about that. I'm just a long-haired, long-haired guy with a long beard, just put it in a ponytail. I don't worry about that kind of stuff. But anyhow, they sell a product for bleaching hair, okay? But it's not actually bleached. What it is hydrogen peroxide. It's a hair bleaching product, though. And you can get it in different percentages of hydrogen peroxide in it. Get the one with the highest percentage of hydrogen peroxide, and it's kind of I don't want to say a gel, but it's a cream, I believe is what they call it. But it's a cream hair bleach. But like I say, it's not actually bleach. It's not chlorine bleach. It's actually hydrogen peroxide what's in it. And it works great for doing this kind of stuff. So you pour some out in a little pan or something, paint it onto all the white surfaces. Like I say, you'd have to completely dismantle the radio, pull all the Jesus clips off this dark part here, so this can be removed from the white part, because that's actually a separate piece. It's push pins in there with the what I call Jesus clips. They're pushed on because they're you'll be saying the praises of him trying to get them off. But take those, and like I say, take this black part out, but you paint that on and then set it out in the sunlight for about I do it a little bit at a time. So I'd set it out for about a full day. I set it out on the porch in direct sunlight in the morning. Middle of the afternoon, I switch it to the porch on the other side of the house so it stays out in the sun the whole time. And I'll do that for a day. I'll bring it in, wash it off, just wash it off, regular soap and water, see how your progress is going, and then you can do that as many times. Now this one's not too bad. Some of them, oh my God, those things are almost, this white plastic gets almost brown. But like I say, it's actually a chemical process that's changing in the plastic over the decades, but it can be reversed. Like I say, you just want to make sure, don't have a spot where you don't have any of your bleach compound. Whether you mix up your own with cornstarch and hydrogen peroxide, or you use that hair cream, like I said, I just use that for convenience. It's already mixed in a bottle, pour it out, splash it on, you're done. But like I say, just make sure you don't have a spot where you don't have any, and then you got lots over here, because this part will get bleached, and you'll have a light spot, and it'll go to dark then. Like I say, good thick coat of that stuff, throw some cling film over it, stick it out in the sunlight, and let that big radioactive ball in the sky do its work, and it does a fairly good job. Like I say, if you want to look that up online, I think they call that the retro bright process. I've even seen, I think somebody figured that out, the person that figured out how to do that was actually with shoes. Something about cleaning shoes or something. I don't know. I don't collect vintage tennis shoes, but cleaning the actual soles or something on them, or bleaching them out. But they also found that it works great on this plastic from the 70s and 80s and whatnot that was really popular. And pretty much anything that was electronic in a plastic cabinet, they use that color, that kind of white, off-white, bone white that over the years has slowly turns brown. So But there's the completed radio. So get this boxed up and ready to send back to the customer.